Te amo. I only bought this cup because it looks kind of like Amos. It's Tuesday, January something. You know, January is the longest month on the planet. And in Chowan County, it's Christmas break number 2. We had 2 weeks off for Christmas, which is fairly typical. And then, lo and behold, we have been out Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days. You know, they have these things called, it's not like me to complain about my school system, but this schedule I've asked some teachers about. And when the teachers are like, I don't know what in the bleepity bleep bleep is going on with this calendar. How are we supposed to give exams to high school students when they've been out of school these many days? This is a terrible idea. I trust teachers. Adrian cannot complain because she doesn't know what she's talking about, but teachers can. I mean, so Amos, my person with autism, has been out of school now. It'll be 5 days, and then he goes back for a 2-day week. A 2-day week. Do you know how confusing this is? And I mean, I love a teacher work day. I totally get it. I understand. I'm not complaining. But holy shimoly. Good morning from Virginia. So we'll just be in here. I mean, even my husband looked sorry. He was like, they don't go to school today or tomorrow. He got up and got out of here. It's like, no, this is when you work from home. There's a lot of Legos on the floor already, and it's not even 9 o'clock. He just told me to go back to bed. I'm not going back to bed. Dookie, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. So anyway, we'll be here. I don't know what we're going to do. January in Eastern North Carolina is not exactly, I don't know what the word is for it. It's not exactly lovely outside. Typically, it's gray. It's a little bit gray, and you like look outside and you're like, is it raining? That's what it looks like most all the time. Gray. So, hold on. Let me get my phone to stand up. I woke up this morning thinking of a couple things. One, I was thinking about that. What am I going to do all day? Which is why I'm just sitting around in pajamas. Because I didn't have to take anybody to school. But two, has anybody, I know what else. My subscribers and I are going to be talking about this morning. So yesterday I wrote this post about how I'm almost to 300,000 followers, which when people are like, well, what does that mean? It honestly means nothing. But in my mind, I remember when I was like getting to 1,000 followers. In my very first year of writing, I got to 10,000. And I was so excited. You know how you just set goals for yourself? And I remember when I got to 100,000, it's been a couple years ago. So it's just a big deal in my mind because it's a number. But does it mean anything or equate to like getting paid? No. No, I do occasionally, when somebody writes a mean comment, I do tell them that every comment they make, I get paid $1. It's just because I'm evil. But yesterday I wrote this post about how my husband and I were kind of was it yesterday? Or was it the day before? Oh, no, it was 2 days ago. It was about raising children, and my boys had told me they'd gotten on the wrong train, and, you know, we're a little bit hands-offish, I guess, on children, typically. And somebody said, you know, you're not middle class. I had talked about that we were raised middle-class families. They're like, you weren't. And I was like, that makes for a really interesting discussion because I'm sure there is like a threshold of what middle class is. But So maybe I wasn't, and I just thought I was. I know growing up, I never felt like I had more than anybody else or less than other people. Money wasn't really I mean, I remember those people that got all the good stuff for Christmas. You know, we did fine, but I don't ever remember being like, well, we have more than all my friends. So, and I did go to private school, so that's that. But somebody commented and they said, well, maybe middle class, but when you come from old money. And I honestly like dribbled chai tea on myself. Old money in my family, they know old money. They know silver. There's no nothing. And not in a bad way, but like, it's rare that I can full on like hee-haw over a comment. And maybe I brought it on myself. I call myself the debutante. But anybody that knows that I have that title, and it's a little bit tongue-in-cheeky, right? Because I was a debutante, but my parents are from Ohio. My papa worked for the IRS as an auditor. My grandmother stayed home and took care of my uncle and my dad, I guess. And my mom's dad was a school superintendent in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And my grandmother, my mom's mom, she stayed home. They had 5 kids. And there wasn't any old money. No. My parents moved to North Carolina. They had a Volkswagen Bug that ended up being my brother's first car. And they had a 6-foot U-Haul trailer, which my mother likes to say was not full. There wasn't any old money. There wasn't any furniture. There wasn't any trust fund. There wasn't any nothing. So I just wanted to clear that up, that there was no old nothing. I will say, though, my dad told me a funny story recently. They moved into this apartment at Heritage Hills in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And he said, we moved in there, and they had a bed and a crib. And I think they had a couch. They either had like a couch or 2 chairs. But they wanted to get a coffee table and like some end tables and maybe a chair. I can't remember. Well, my dad hadn't passed the optometry board yet. He was studying to be an optometrist or had just graduated. And he went to the bank. It was probably like People's Bank at the time. Hey, from Michigan. And said, I need to borrow some money for some furniture. And they were like, yeah, no. No. And I said, well, what'd you do? He goes, well, I didn't get the furniture. He didn't call his mom and dad. He didn't call his in-laws. Yeah, he no get furniture. You know money, no get furniture. And I say often, the way I was raised was really smart, I think. A friend of mine was telling me that she has all these friends with kids older than me, older than my kids, like in their 20s, and how many of them like subsidize their kids' rent and help pay for things, and which is really nice. But I remember when I was in graduate school, my dad saying, in December, you're going to start paying for your car insurance. This is probably like August. And then it'd be a few months later, and he'd say, in June, I'm going to give you your cell phone bill. So he would give me a few months, and then he would hand it to me. And it wasn't that they couldn't pay for it. It was that he wanted me to understand this is what it costs to live, you know? And we got married. We were both in school. It wasn't like we were lazy, but I quit school and was a nanny because we needed money to live, and he was in law school. And my parents could have said, here's the money to live. It wasn't like we lived on much. Here's a couple $1,000s a month. Go ahead and finish. But they didn't do that. Was your dad part of the Doctor's Vision Center? No, I think that was Steve Bullock's. My dad's business with his partner was eye care centers, and mainly North Carolina. So, you know, you take, I guess, what your parents do, and you really, two houses, private schools, lavish vacations. Nah, not middle class, says Nicole. So let's see, Nicole. Well, one, I didn't say that I was middle class. I said I was raised middle class, so that's different. I would argue that I am upper middle class. Am I upper class? I don't know, but I do know that I don't have a plane, so that's kind of where I call upper class. Two, the lavish vacations that you might see are oftentimes, for me, work trips. So we're going to Deer Valley on a family ski trip, which is a pretty posh thing to do, a wonderful place to go. They're hosting us because I hustled and sent a bunch of emails and said, hey, we would really like to go skiing and I would love to trade a trip for some work. Hello. I'm totally willing to like answer questions and talk about this. Middle class struggle at times is just as much as lower class. Middle class did not go to private school. You would remember times you heard how to get groceries next week. Joanne, I don't think so. I think when you look at what middle class is, I mean, if you have a family of 5 and you make $130,000 a year, which is considered middle class, you are eligible for free health care. So that's a lot of money. That's not somebody worried about groceries, but according to the government, they get totally free health insurance because we were there when we had little kids. So I would say the government says I'm middle class. I might not be now. I don't worry about groceries. I mean, I do notice when I go to the grocery store and spend $248 like I did yesterday. And then my children say, let's get Mamacitas. And I say, no, we have food in here. Have a $1 Food Line pizza. You know? Mo money, mo problems. More taxes. Why are we talking class? Well, because I had brought it up in a post and somebody went crazy and said that I wasn't middle class. And I really was talking about the way that I was raised and the way my parents were raised. And I hope the way that we're raising our children. You know, my son Thomas this summer has worked as a dishwasher the last 2 years. And I said, what's your plan this summer? And he was like, I really don't want to work. And I said, okay, well, how are you going to have money? You know, we struggle in the days after COVID and we are over 200,000. Mamacitas. Oh, we love a Mamacitas. You get the impression of having a silver spoon. Well, I think the educated debutante maybe says like that, you know? And I get it. But I mean, how did I become a debutante? So my dad, you know, my parents moved here from Ohio with their U-Haul. And my dad and his Jewish business partner in the South, which was probably pretty unusual, you know? And I get that, Kimberly. Amen. And, Lorain, Ohio, that's my stomping grounds. And they started a business and they did a lot for the community. And so I got asked to be a debutante, not because of anything I had done, but because my dad was successful, you know? Upper class is defined as an household income range above 156. Well, I don't know about working class. No, and my parents take us on trips and we do all sorts of fun things. Yeah, there's this whole question about entitled. I think entitled to me means you just think you deserve things, right? You just are out there wandering the world thinking that you should have everything, you know? And I think what people can't wrap their mind around is somebody paying for tuition for high school kids. Kids go to college, high school tuition. Oh, I believe that. Yeah, my children are at a very expensive school. Those 60% of kids there, I think, are almost on full-time aid. So I think when you assume people's children are at boarding school or at college, I wouldn't underestimate that they're not getting financial aid. I think that's always a thing. And know that if you think you can't afford school, maybe you can. But I think Karen's right. I mean, our families, my family paid for my education. Well, I had a full-time scholarship for my PhD. And my husband, Thomas, we're still paying off his school loans. I mean, this could go on for years. You are aware you were afforded some boost. Hell yeah, I was. Heck yeah. I didn't pay for college. I had access to a car. I had parents who were interested in me. I also lost my only sibling to cancer at 15. And I tell you what, you watch the person you love most on the planet die, and you watch that there is no amount of money that can save a person, you really get some things in your head. I'm coming. Yes, you can subscribe from South Africa.
In the red smoke.
The red smoke.
Yes.
And you belong to this person? Okay. Yesterday, my husband was talking about an old friend that he hadn't seen in a long time that he saw recently. And he said, you know, he's gotten a little weak. Or it said some word. And I was like, what does that mean? Do you have any brothers or sisters? I don't. Well, I have one brother, but he died.
That smoke came red.
Does that look like red smoke?
Yes.
Oh.
That stinks.
That stinks?
Yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, you know what he needs? He needs a child with autism, and he needs one right away. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I just mean that your life, you think everything is perfect and wonderful, and you realize that you can't. There's nothing you can do, you know, that you're kind of, so I don't mind explaining or talking. I think it's okay. I think what I don't like is when people are wandering around pretending that there's something they're not. You know, I think that's annoying, personally. I don't ever want to give this false impression that I'm like some, diva. Money can't buy happiness, but folks are willing to keep it real. Yeah, I think so too, Nicole. I mean, I think it's important to have the discussions. It makes people uncomfortable. I mean, I think people are like, ugh. It's, way to go, Kimberly. I think the hardest thing we ever had to do was, or the biggest thing for us, which is better now because we found a new plan, is paying for health insurance. We have always paid more for health insurance than we did a mortgage. And we have a nice house. And crappy health insurance. Don't let them aggravate you. No, I think it's okay. Julie, make it through 3 hours of your day. Well, what really goes over well is when I talk about applying for Medicaid. And people are like, ah. And then I have to try to explain, like, do you understand what Medicaid is? Do you, like, know why families with children with disabilities need Medicaid? Like, Amos is going to need health insurance his whole life. What if I die and I'm gone? Do I need his older brother trying to figure out how he's going to get health insurance? Like, our country is set up for people with disabilities to get Medicaid. Do you understand what that means? And I think people don't know, because I didn't know either. I always say health insurance is now the new mortgage. And how many people you know that I would think you would argue are upper middle class that do not have health insurance because it's so expensive? Health insurance. How did you solve the insurance cost? Well, we ended up getting health insurance through the North Carolina Bar Association. My husband's an attorney, and it took you had to do all sorts of things. You have to offer it to people in your office, but it is less expensive and it's good insurance. So it's great. It's really great. Back in the day when, we were first married, we had that insurance that was like 90-10. It was awesome. I often say, well, I just want to buy like all these federal employees, Yes, Tara, you should apply for the waiver for unmet needs. Gives me a boost to my... Oh, and you're a subscriber. I'm so glad, Melissa. Melinda, not Melissa. Daycare. I don't know how y'all did that. I had to stay home. So the other thing I saw this morning, this is a totally different discussion, but let's make a big leap that it stretches to appearances. Hey, Debbie, I'm so glad you're a new subscriber. We're doing a subscriber video right after this. The other discussion we're having is my caregiver. Hold on, let me find it on the TV. There's a fellow. So his name is Michael Haight. Has anybody heard about Michael Haight? Look, I mean, this is a real commitment that I'm jumping from Medicaid to a person that has just murdered his entire family. But the reason it's relevant and the reason it's like really is, so this person he's from Seattle, Washington. His dad was a dentist. I don't know why that was in his obituary. Seems odd to like talk about what your father did for a living, but call me crazy. And they lived in Cedar City, Utah. Mormon family. Not that that is relevant at all. My best friend growing up was Mormon. And just because I think there's something, sometimes when people have a religion that you maybe don't understand, you love to like throw that in as like part of the reason they did something. But anyway, let's take that out of the equation. Michael Haight murdered his wife, his mother-in-law, and his 5 children. We've grown a little bit cold to this. They call it famicide. It's happening a lot, right? We have the family in Massachusetts. Well, he just killed his wife, I guess, not his children. That's a miracle. But what's super interesting about the Michael Haight thing is that his obituary, or the thing that the family pays to put in the paper, held him out as some sort of deity. And then they did a GoFundMe. I'm going to see if I can find it. This is a real thing in the GoFundMe that someone in his family started. So his mother is still alive. His dad is not. They changed his image to look like Jesus. Yo, you can't make this mess up. This will make you not worry about what Adrian's doing. So Michael Haight killed his wife, his 3 daughters, and his 2 sons. Well, then people write all these comments on the obituary. So your friend, I'm just thinking of myself. My friend has just killed his whole family. And I go into the little online thing and I write this. I have known Michael since his grade school and baseball days. He has been so good to us and so helpful. We will miss him. I'm grateful for his example of Christ-like love and service. He went out of his way to help and serve people. He loved his family and was proud of them. He will be missed. Wish we would have had a big family get-together barbecue. Are people on crack? I just don't get it. So this is his obituary. So his family has written this obituary. Hi.
What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm just doing a video. Michael Orwin Haight was born on January 7th, 1980 in Seattle to Robin and Brenda Haight. In his youth, he loved spending time in City League baseball, basketball, soccer. He also achieved the rank of Eagle Scout, a man that killed his entire family. And then his mother or siblings wrote this wonderful thing about him. He spent the summer after graduation working in Alaska. He was a full-time mission. He did a mission in Brazil. He loved the people he met there. He met his wife and they were married in the temple in 2003. He spent a lot of time with his children. Is it made up? No, it ain't made up. So the reason I bring that up is that whoever, well, it's hidden now, but you can obviously find it on like Facebook if you look up Michael Haight obituary. You want to talk about not living in reality or being honest? If you write something like that for your family, yes, they knew he did it. Yes, Tammy, they sure did. They knew he did it. Don't be that person. Don't be the person that stands by some nut in your family because mental breakdown at the end, but a life of service. Honey, what are you doing?
Don't leave me up.
Why are you moving my feet? Serious spiritual trouble, Heidi said. I mean, Heidi, I just don't. This is what you talk about with parents supporting their children killed. Yes. Well, I do not blame the Mormon Church. I do not think that ain't the way that, and I spent half my childhood at my best friend's house and went to her church all the time. And ain't nobody doing this mess. The real truth is she had wanted to get divorced and he was terrible and killed them. The family has lost it. It does not do well to not only, we've got Brian Koberger, whose family is like, we're going to stand by him under the presumption of innocence. Real crazy. You can be like, you know what, this is my son, and if he gets out on bond, he ain't coming to stay at my house. Did he have a mental breakdown? I don't know about any mental breakdown. Her sister said that he took all the guns from the house, leaving them vulnerable, which is a really interesting rabbit hole to go down. Like if maybe he hadn't taken all the guns, they could have saved themselves. I mean, if you're asleep and somebody shoots you, what the hell? Why can't people just get divorced? I don't know. It's a real problem. Men do not like divorce, evidently. The temple in Salt Lake will tell a woman to go back to her husband. Well, there is a real theme here that if you are trying to get divorced, you better be very careful on how you're going to get out of that marriage. to wash. Why didn't he just kill himself? Because he's a narcissist. Narcissist who commits suicide, he didn't have any mental problems. He was an asshole. I mean, we love, and I'm married to a criminal defense attorney, but he's like, you know what? No, people are not crazy. They're asshats. Yay. Stephanie, new subscriber. Oh, it is a good group for me time. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. I'm LDS and the temple does not say that. Thank you, Susie, for being truthful. New subscriber just joined in. Who are we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Michael Haight, who, hey, Cindy, new subscriber. Michael Haight killed his whole family. Why do we want to jump on the church? He had some sort of mental issue or he was just mean. Yeah, I'd like to say people are just mean. Yeah, it really is a... Oh, yes, thank you, Lynn. Dharmesh Patel, the physician who drove his family off the cliff in California, but he was in the Tesla and the thing landed right side up and they didn't die. And I mean, you know that mama got out of that car and was like, holy crap, he just did this to us on purpose. Right? I mean, no way, Jose. No. I mean, what? These people do not have mental problems. They are awful. They are awful. Terry, I spent a lot of time at the Church of Latter-day Saints. I mean, on Sundays, I just can't tell you how much my friend Missy's family had a positive effect on me. It's funny, you know, I always think, well, I didn't have much diversity in my life, but one of my very first best friends, Merida, who I'm friends with now, she was Jewish, and then I had Missy, who was Mormon, and then I might have had some Episcopalian friends. I was Methodist, or maybe we switched to Presbyterian at that time, and it was such a good experience. I just didn't think anything about it. I remember thinking, oh, well, they believe different than me, and that's okay. What is that noise? He had to have some sort of mental issue. Kimberly, I don't think necessarily. Sometimes people are awful. The judge is really, the court system, like insanity, like to be insane, you can't know what you are doing. And even if I'm not going to talk about that, the fact that the family spent time writing these wonderful things about him, and it didn't feel funny to them to write about how he loved his family. Like, that's insane. If you're his family and you wrote that obituary, you need to check yourself in somewhere. It's true, because you got real problems. And I'm sure somebody's thinking, well, that shouldn't overshadow. Yeah, it overshadows. You had a life of wonderful things, and then you kill your family. You're out. I mean, mother fricker. No, you get no credit. It's done. It's done. Even if you were drunk driving and you wrecked the car, I could see that, that was a lapse in judgment. You took a gun and you murdered your 5 children and your mother-in-law and your wife and then killed yourself. No obituary. You think he has a history of trauma. That devil is naughty. Naughty. What? Hi. Well, maybe I'm just not. Gettysburg Address. 407 bricks ago. We're reading the Gettysburg Address in the Lego book. Yes, Lisa. Okay, heading over to the subscriber page. We're gonna have a chitty chat. Come on over if y'all want to. Did they not mourn the loss of the grandchildren, only him? I don't know. I'm telling you, I get it. And then the brother-in-law put wait, hold on, before we get off. He put a post up on Facebook. And it was, now he did sound, Sissy, honey, please don't bother him.
I'm not.
You,
You're bothering me.
well, I was in here first. If I'm bothering you, why don't you go?
You weren't in here first.
Yes, I was here first while you were asleep. Judgy McJudgerson. Bothering her. I am honored to be married into the Haight family.
I already read that.
I did not. As many know that my wife's brother, Michael, and his family tragically passed away. So if you say somebody tragically passes away, that is not your wife's brother killed his whole family. Tragically passing away is like a tornado came and swooped down and gobbled them all up. I'm still in shock over what has happened to our family. What? So then he starts telling this story about fog. Ugh, can't take it anyway. Why are the kids home? Well, it's a wonderful question. Wonderful question. They're home because it's a teacher work day. What's the link of the subscriber page? Ooh, I'll put it up. Yeah, ain't everybody got some mental health problem. I can tell you that right now. Because then you have a family that's like, he's wonderful. Look, he was an Eagle Scout. I mean, if I were the Eagle Scouts, I'd be like, I'd like y'all to take that out. Kind of like Dr. Dre not letting Marjorie Taylor Greene use his music. Honor, are you having a Bloody Mary this morning? Your Bloody Mary toy? Carry on, subscribers. See you in a minute.